Hello and welcome to the very latest Stat Rep. That is a rapid fire Warhammer 40k battle report brought to you by your friends over here at Stat Check. I'm one of your friends. My name is Tyler Bortel, and I'm joined as always by
one of your other very more questionable friends, Lucas Stroller.
And we are here for some high octane Warhammer action. Oh man, this is a matchup that I've been looking forward to for a hot minute. We've got the new Adeptus Mechanicus after the balanced data slate. They are packing heat, and they are going up against something that I have not seen in a hot minute. What are you rolling today, Lucas?
The Green Tide.
We got a lot of orcs on this board. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. So let's jump right into it. In terms of mission, we are playing on, I don't know, do they have a letter for this one? This is Crucible Terraform.
I think this is O.
Oh my gosh, I'm very excited for that. And we are playing, as you can see, on WTC here. We're doing WTC Crucible 4.5. We did GW for the last couple of these. We're going to do WTC again. And this time we've color-coded the ruins that they kind of match the layout. So these blue ones are those big 3-story L's, and the little orange ones here, those are your little L's. So hopefully it makes it a little bit clearer from this top-down perspective. But that's what we've got going on. As far as lists are concerned, let's start off with the visitors here. Lucas, what are we doing with the Green Tide?
Yeah, so this is a complaint I've had with Orks since the Codex came out, is Ghaz can't lead his lads, which is a travesty. They finally fixed it, and might be a little more optimal in some other detachments, but by God, we're going to play him in Green Tide, and we're going to have some fun. So, yeah, this is Ghaz and the boys. It is truly a Green Tide. There is one vehicle in this list, and its primary function is to get the boys into combat. We've got Boss Snikrot. We got Ghaz Thraka. Those are our two epic heroes. We've got a Painboy, just a single one in this list. He's got our first enhancement, Bloodthirsty Belligerence, for reroll to advance in charge while he's in a big squad. We've got 3 Warbosses, one with Brutal but Cunning for CP generation. He'll be joined to Blue Squad, which is on my home field right now. Another one with Ferocious Show Off. That's +3 strength when he's in a big squad. That is going to be Green Squad, which is currently inside the battle wagon. And then a third Warboss is just naked. He's joined to Yellow Squad, which is kind of right next to the battle wagon, also on my home field. And then finally, we have a Weirdboy. That's our final character, joined to Blue Squad. So that the CP generating squad is going to be jumping around this game and providing some nice mobility there. For the battle line, we've got 20, 40, 60, 80, 90 boys. So a 20-man will be joined to Ghaz, obviously, and then 3 other 20s will be joined to Warbosses. I was finding that the Painboys Feel No Pain is not only expensive, but doesn't always come up. And when you have a Warboss plus a Painboy, that is nearly the cost of the 20 boys. So I was thinking of slimming down on the cost a little bit by cutting the Painboys and just running the boss to kind of maintain the same level of hitting power and maybe a little bit less durability. But you can have a lot more of them, because if you cut 2 doctors, you get under 60 points. That's pretty big. The 10-man squad, just a nice little skirmishing tool. Revive is good on them. Reroll the wound in the early game is good for skirmishing. Just a nice little sticky piece to go and solve some problems. And then for other data sheets, we have a battle wagon. We got 10 Gretchen to stand on the home field as normal. We've got 2 squads of 10 Kommandos taking advantage of the new combat squatting rule for Kommandos. I've put all of my war gear in the squads with the 5-mans with the ram and the claw, just to kind of juice up that one squad. And then I've got 2, throwaway trash squads. One's in the center of the board here, and then one's over on my flank, lower right by Gaskell. And then finally, 5 Stormboyz, which I've put in Deep Strike this game. So yeah, that's the list. It's trying to do what Green Tide always does. Put a lot of OC in places, hit harder than your opponent expects you to, be pretty tough, and just be all over the place. And then you have a couple tricks with the revives, with jumping, with a lot of charge bonuses and rerolls. And you're just a little stickier and a little more hard-hitting than your opponent wants you to be.
Very nice, man. Well, I am certainly excited to see this back on camera after a long hiatus of you being a smelly Chaos Knights player. Good to see the greenskins back on the board. Sweet. Over in the red corner over here, the home team, we've got the Adeptus Mechanicus rocking Haloscreed Battleclade. Try to show off a bunch of the new things and some of my favorite pieces. That, of course, means we got to have Baller Serious Cawl himself. His new ability to potentially hand out an Oath of Moment style reroll effect is quite devastating. It really gives AdMech kind of that damage push that we've been asking for quite a while. Got a Sidonian Skatros here. I think he's fantastic in Haloscreed. Lone Ops are great, and a Lone Op that can react to flat 6, even better. Combi Lieutenant, who? And then we've got ourselves a Tech Priest Manipulus with Sanctified Ordnance. That's one of the best enhancements in the detachment. Gives you +6 inch range and reroll 1s on your hazard checks. You most often see this guy rocking with 10 Plasma Cataphron Destroyers for that reroll on the Hazardous. It's a really big deal, makes that unit a lot more viable. But I'm doing something a little bit different with it today. We'll get there in a second. 2 squads of Rangers, kitted out to the gills. You can see they're already making their scout moves up here. On the screen here. We've got 2 Scorpius Duneriders, a purple one up top and a green one down here in the middle. Those are some of the best transports in the game, or at least they would be if they didn't have those stupid stubbers sticking out. We then have the pièce de résistance for this list, which is the 10 Corpuscarii Electro Priests. That is what is being led by that Tech Priest Manipulus to make their jazz hands not 12 inches, but rather 18. Significant increase in threat range when we're talking about a unit that moves 6, maybe 8 with Haloscreed, maybe advances and shoots, to then shoot 18. Real amount of reach as opposed to just that 12. So I'm excited to see what that unit can do here. We got 2 squads of 2 Iron Strider Ballistarii with their twin Cognos Las Cannons. That's one of the other big winners of the slate. Those Las Cannons went to being twin linked. So with Cawl giving reroll to hits and the cannons themselves giving reroll to wounds, they could just really nail something down. We've got 2 squads of 5 Taraxi Skystalkers. I love my bats. I've got 5 of them back here on the home field, 5 of them in Deep Strike. I should mention I also have 2 of those last chickens over here on the bottom, trying to cut this long angle, threatening that battle wagon, forcing it to deploy pretty far back. And then the other 2 are in Strat Reserve, ready to come in from an angle and shoot or charge something. I've got the Servitor Battleclade unit kind of up here on the left. Don't mind the Arquebus that isn't scout moving, but he's supposed to be. They're a really cool recent addition with the kill team. The advanced shooting action is kind of fun. We'll see what they can do. They're only 60 points, so I think they're a little bit better than just taking 3 of the ponies. We got the Infiltrators, who got a pip of AP. Very exciting for them with their Taser Goads. We got a 10-man over here, and then 2 5-mans up in the middle and up at the top. Going for a more aggressive line than I usually would with that top squad, but we'll see what they can do. And then we've got the Rust Stalkers. This is kind of everyone's new favorite unit. We've got a 10-man in that green boat there, or not actually in the green boat, sorry, next to the green boat, and then a 5-man in the green boat, hoping to kind of trade out that 5-man early and then reload with the 10-man in a second. They'll also kind of staging really aggressive here with the 10-man in case Lucas goes first, so I can kind of countercharge pretty quickly. They don't need to get in the boat if they're already where they need to be. And then we've got the allies. And I don't think that a lot of AdMech players are playing these, but I think if you want to play the Corpuscarii, they're a little bit necessary. That's a 10 Sisters of Battle and an Immolator, right? Those Corpuscarii they are AP dash on the data sheet, AP1 in Conqueror Doctrine, extra battle line. AP1 is kind of AP none these days. AP1 ignores cover. Now we're talking, and that's what that Immolator is here to do. So we'll see if he can help out with that. And it also gives me 2 little trash pieces. Sisters screen the backfield pretty well. They sticky my home field pretty well. And then another 5 ladies to run around with 10 OC. There are worse things in the world. The allies are still 2 OC, right? Yeah, they are. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're kind of fun and a little bit more melts as well, right? Because I've only got the 2 squads of last chickens. My anti-tank is a little bit limited, and then Cawl, of course, is also pretty good. Having an extra Immolator worth of multi-melta and the Sisters worth of melta and multi-melta and Inferno Pistol can, really, really patch a couple of the holes in the list as a whole. We're trying to do a lot of things at once here, but I think we can do all of them pretty damn well. So I'm really excited to get started. We're both playing tactical here, as tempting as it might be to take Cole Assassinate or Cole and something else over here. Haloscreed is so freaking CP thirsty that I need every command point I can get. So I think we're going to hope to get some of those out of the deck there. And also, Lucas's army is basically 4 units of 20 dudes. If I get a 20 point on Cole for killing all of them, I've probably won the game anyway. So I'm not super worried about that.
Yep, 100%.
Anything else out of you before we get started, Lucas?
Nah, man, let's roll the tape.
Sweet. Well, we roll off, and it looks like we have Adeptus Mechanicus going first. Ooh, going first on Terraform, always a good thing. Going first with AdMech, that can be kind of jaily, also always is a great thing. So I'm feeling pretty saucy about that. We're going to scout forward those Rangers kind of up here and over here, getting ready to utilize their abilities as early as possible. and we're going to see just how hard we can shut things down. We draw a couple of cards to the tune of Extend Battle Lines and Area Denial, one of those classic combos that you love to get turn one. Lucas has intelligently deployed his commandos here within 6 of the center, so I will need to remove those if I want to get my Area Denial points, but I got no shortage of ways to do that. The question in my mind is who's going to the middle? How are they getting there? And what are we doing with these Ruststalkers in the boat, right? Because I don't really want to sit around and wait with these guys. I kind of want them to just go get in the boat and be ready to get involved. So this 5-man's going in somewhere. We just got to see where. And I am thinking that my unit of dudes with precision and a little bit of dev wounds on the sergeant there would really love to go all the way across the board because they go 1,000,000 inches. Blitz over there. And precision out Makari with a dev wound so he doesn't get a stupid invuln. And then maybe put the rest of the precision into the Painboy, right? If Ghaz's squad loses Makari and the Painboy, that squad is dead. Like it's going to die very fast by comparison to other stuff, and we'll see what we can do. Unfortunately, I'm only rolling a 1 on, or maybe it was a 2 on my advance. I really wanted like maybe a 4 or a 5 to guarantee that I get into Ghaz and friends. So, it's wicked quick. But I don't have the CP to give them both advance and charge and +2 to moves. They're not that quick. So with that roll, we did put the oath. That is this little marker. It might be cropped off in the final. We did point it at Ghaz's squad just in case we were able to get there, but we weren't. So we're just going to send them on in here to crash into those Mandos to guarantee the area denial points while my infiltrators waltz on up, touch the objective, and do the terraforming. To call it a day there. So missed out on what could have been a cool opportunity, but this is kind of a thing you really want to do in 40K when you have units that are so reliant on things like advance rolls, is to try to have several different options for what they can do based on the results of that roll and then plan accordingly.
Absolutely.
So, good use of that unit there. Trading down pretty hard for 5 Mandos, but getting us some points and getting the party started, right? Lucas does not have a ton of pieces that are very easy for him to trade into 5 Ruststalkers and really expect them to go away. And I just want him to start exposing those boys so those Corpuscarii can start going to work. So that's kind of what they're hoping to do here. On the other side of things, the infiltrators that started up against this wall here are blitzing forward at Mach 12. They would have really loved +2 move. I think in hindsight, giving these guys advance and charge is probably unnecessary. I think the 8-inch move probably gets them close enough to go after these dudes if we get there. And it might have been better to just but there's no way to hand out +2 move at advanced charge and the Rusties need advance and charge. Okay, fair enough. I kind of wish these guys were able to get up a little bit further just to guarantee that, but I think they rolled an okay advance, so they got pretty far up. Their goal here is to basically tell that battle wagon, you don't get to come forward and stand on this objective and be annoying or stage up here. Instead, you either sit all the way back or you get shot at by last chickens. Your choice. Either way, I'm loving it, and we are going to be doing some terraforming behind them. So our Rangers here scouted 6, walk 6, touch onto the point, and they will terraform it because we tried to advance in with our Battleclade, but we didn't roll the 3 that we needed to get on. I think in hindsight, I should probably start the Battleclade in the boat and the Corpuscarii next to it, so the Battleclade can get out 9 and then advance in action and run over to do that, and then the Corpuscarii can get in, because even if I go second, there's no way that Lucas applies enough pressure that I need the Corpuscarii out of the boat immediately. Probably would have been better, but we're learning. This is actually my first full rep with the new AdMech changes, so my apologies for some learning moments. Whatever the case, we're over there, we're terraforming, we're staging with everybody else, nothing too crazy. My Skatros is going to move up to here when I remember that he needs to move in a second, and we're going to just go ahead and slam here. With the positioning as it is, Lucas would need to call a WOG to get to these infiltrators right now, and I think that if he wants to send Ghaz as and co into the infiltrators immediately while calling the WOG, that is playing the game way too fast for how his army wants to operate, and I'm A-okay with that, because it means that basically none of his other units get to benefit from it. So that's a thing they're willing to see it, and otherwise I've got 7 dudes on here, so he can't even or 6 dudes on there, so he can't just take it with 5 commandos either. He's got to put at the very least this 10-man boy unit, and that might not even be the easiest thing in the world to get over there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Pick up the 5 mandos, score our 9 points of secondary, and call it a day. Whew, busy turn 1. What are we doing top 2, Lucas?
Well, this is not top 2. This is bottom 1.
Or bottom 1, sorry.
I understand you are eager for your next turn. So we're going to go ahead and see what we can do about a couple of these screening units. You put a lot of pressure on me, right? You've terraformed all 3 objectives. You're threatening a 12 comfortably, right? It's going to require multiple units of me coming out to deny. I'm going to need to deny 2 objectives here to get you off your 12 and down to an 8, and I would need to deny all 3 to get you down to a 4. And this is something I've really been trying to work on a little bit as a player, is looking at situations where opponent is putting pressure on me and not feeling like I need to rip off the Band-Aid right away and just like go for it. I'm a very impulsive, aggressive player by nature. So it's very, I've played a lot of Orks and I love just thunder rushing my opponent at every opportunity. I feel like I always need to deny the primary, always max my points. And sometimes it can really behoove you to just like take the game a little more slowly, accept that they get run up the points on you for 1 turn, and it's going to be okay. Like, it's more important to be in a good position than to frantically try to, beat your opponent over the head, and then you fail and you fall flat on your ass and die. And I feel like if I rushed you this turn, that's exactly what would have happened. So we draw 2 cards. We also draw our own area denial. It always feels awkward to draw area right after your opponent draws it, so it's going to be very hard for us to get. And we also draw no prisoners. And really our goal this turn is just create a nice front right here. Oops, I'm using the wrong tool. Create a nice front where, we clean up a couple of these little 5-mans and force you to kind of redraw the battle lines with maybe some more important stuff. And we kind of just put a couple of units forward there, maybe pick up your 2 5-mans to get some no prisoners, and then hit the reset button and say, okay, establish the screens again. I'm going to hit you with real units this time if you want to try to play the game. This 10-man Boyz unit that I mentioned in the pregame is actually one of the excellent units for this in Green Tide. So it runs forward here, threatens like a 1 or a 2-inch charge on the Ruststalkers who have to react to move 6 away, which, is one of those precious CP, but it does save them from that 10-man. The reason that 10-man is so good, by the way, is because that reroll to wound strat in the early game makes them very, very good at trading for 80 points, which is usually something Green Tide struggles with, right? You got these 4 massive bricks. None of them really want to commit to an opponent trash unit. So that 10-man can kind of threaten that. So with that charge being lengthened, we go ahead and commit one of our 20-man Boyz squads, which is not something we really want to do. But in order to get rid of 2 5-mans, I do feel like it's worth it at this point. Tyler was setting up those contingencies with his 5-man Ruststalkers leaping out of the boat and going for Gaskell's unit. I was also setting up some contingencies myself with this 20-man, right? They're coming out. They're going to have to brave an Infiltrator Battle Shock test, but they're going to come out. They're going to shoot a little bit. And then with their charge, there's a chance that they can get far enough that they can console onto this objective and take it from you. So we're kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone here. Not only are we killing the 2 squads for no prisoners and to reestablish those screens like I was talking about, but also we're giving ourselves a good chance at denying some primary as well, because this squad is big enough. It's going to be able to get onto the middle. It's also going to be able to get onto Tyler's expansion. And although those objectives will still be terraformed, we at least will be able to deny 12 on primary, hold you to an 8, potentially.
Yeah. It looks like you're doing some pretty complicated charge stuff here. What's going on with that? Why is this so messy?
Yeah, so this is trying to avoid the Infiltrator start of the fight phase engagement range battle shock test that they hand out. It is a native -1, and if they're within 6 of battle line, it's -2. So I'm trying to avoid that by charging just the Ruststalkers, which is what I do. And then we use the old 10th edition, charging bullshit and slide into the Infiltrators. But you do decide it's worth it here to heroic. I think part of that decision-making is probably for Blood Surge-related reasons. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as the squad of Orks is Blood Surge, it is dead, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
You mean Battle Shocked?
Battle Shocked, yeah, sorry.
But yeah, to really facilitate that, what you're looking for is, those Corpuscarii, they have a lot of shots, but they're wounding on force. So you really want to shoot me with the boat first, so as to apply the reroll to wound. And the danger there is if the boat kills a guy, then all of a sudden whatever you throw forward to screen and keep me away is getting surged into, and the Corpuscarii can't shoot.
Yep.
So those Infiltrator Battle Shocks are really primo to try to set up those kind of 1-2 combos. And in this case, I do end up being Battle Shocked, although it will cost you one of those precious command points to get that heroic in there.
It really will. But yeah, so you'll grab your, and also miraculously, one of those Infiltrators limps out with a wound. Very silly. I think it was just some unfortunate dice there. So we're getting, looks like 2 points on no prisoners for killing the Rusties for you, and nothing on area denial as your battle shock unit can't score it. Also, I'm within 3 of the center with the infiltrators. So
Really quickly
there.
before I send it over, one of the things that I've noticed already, even in my first 3 or 4 games of the Green Tide since the patch, is how powerful it is to have very reliable CP generation in combination with tactical cards. Like, I have already kept so many tactical cards because of the new dumb way that tactical works. I'm getting a CP from Gretchen / Brutal but Cunning 5 out of 6 turns. With a 5 out of 6 probability every single turn. And with that in mind, it's very easy for me to hold on to cards like Area Denial that I wasn't at all achievable this turn, but could easily be achievable next turn. I can hold on to it with 0 penalty. And that is something that is really powerful about Green Tide.
Absolutely. It is a menace. So sure enough, you do hold on to that Area Denial, which, I mean, unless things get real frisky, is probably going to be a kind of a shoe-in for next turn. So looking good. Cool. Clocking it over then to top of 2, and we are in for some primary, boys. We are holding every objective on the table, but Terraform caps out at 12, so we'll get 12 for that. And then at the end of my turn, I got a sneaking suspicion that you won't have unterraformed any of my objectives yet. So that'll be a minimum 15 points this turn on primary, and if we're able to keep you from terraforming, possibly 18 on turn 2. So that feels pretty damn good. Yep. The general game plan here is to basically march this way, right? The Corpuscarii are an absolute menace. So if I can keep them alive, then I'm going to be just fine, right? If they can basically delete a boy squad a turn, they will table you on their own. And then I also have the rest of my army doing other stuff, I guess. So they're going to try to eat these friends while not getting eaten by the friends inside this wagon. And the way to deal with that is to set up some kind of a screen here. Problem is there's nobody nearby. Fortunately, we're playing AdMech, so everyone's actually nearby because I've got some bats in the sky. So they're going to help deal with that issue while the Corpuscarii do what they do best. That being said, the Corpuscarii are actually kind of safe because this detachment is very silly. I have my 6-inch reactive move, and I hand out the Corpuscarii one of my 2+2 movement buffs. I give it to them and the infiltrators, it looks like, which means that maybe I give it to someone else, but I definitely give it to them. I think I end up giving it to the Rangers here. Just don't move the token for a little while. Because of that, my Corpuscarii have a 6-inch flat reactive move, which they can use to get back into their boat in the movement phase. So if you don't have any way to shoot at them, which orcs really don't, I just get to get back in the boat unless you want to go for, what's at best, an 8-inch rollable charge is the way the strat works for you at this point, if you're sitting outside of 9?
Yeah, if I'm outside of 9, I could go for an 8 rerolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, if you're going for an 8 rerolling at my corpse, and that's the best plan you could come up with, sometimes that's just how it is. We're going to try to shut that down with the but that's why we're going to set out the bats here, really, to shut that down as an option, because it is a kind of a lost con. So that's the idea. Let the Corpuscarii win the game, and then everybody else is just going to focus on how to slow the game down until the Corpuscarii can do all the work. I've got a massive lead on primary, so I'm okay ceding a couple points over the next couple turns to deal with that. But we're going to keep on keeping on. So for a minute here, I consider what it looks like to try to send out the other squad of bats to do something similar. See if we can go out here and then out to here to try to keep Ghaz and friends locked up. But in reality, we're just not able to get quite far enough. These bats had jumped out over here, taken some shots, done no damage, and then fire and faded back. I probably should have ended up with them here with where the infiltrators are, where they're already blocking things off here instead of being all the way back here. I guess I wouldn't have been within 12. I needed to be more aggressive with the Rangers, I guess. So if they were here, then maybe there's a world where they're setting up over here. But from where they're at, they're simply not going to be able to do the kind of move blocking they would need to. They would just end up being a slingshot for Ghaz. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to try something a little bit frisky here. We're actually going to run away. We're going to fully retreat and fall back, not literally fall back, but retreat with our infiltrators here that were such a good handful on this objective and replace them with a big wall of Iron Strider, right? And then these bats are going to jump out here and then fire and fade back. And suddenly Lucas is going to have a really hard time getting to all of these juicy things. And that big infiltrator unit, which can also absolutely top to bottom a boy unit with, sus2, crit 5s and oath and whatnot, is going to get held back for later, as will the bats, to hopefully do some skirmishy plays later on. So we'll see how that works out for us. But obviously we're expecting a pretty big walk coming in this turn, so we want to make sure our counterpunch is as big as possible. That being said, something you learn pretty quick playing against Green Tide is that the Wah is not what you're used to it being, right? You're used to the Wob being a defensive asset as much as it is an offensive asset. And that's just not a thing here, right? Because you're already army-wide 5-up invulns, right? For all the things that matter, at least. All the 20-man boy squads. So that your defense isn't really going to fall off a cliff here. It's just your mobility. So if we can keep you penned in after that happens and then take maybe another turn to back off or something, like we should be in a pretty good spot. Our immolator here is going to move up to take a rando pot shot at this wagon. This is a very stupid decision, but one that I just like didn't pre-measure the math on correctly. I was not thinking about the fact that there is going to be no one blocking off this lane, but we'll see what they can do. I don't really need the Ignores cover here because Orks are just 5-up armor save. So with the +1 AP, because we are, as you can see here, in Conqueror Imperative all the time, I don't need to worry about Ignores cover on them. I'm just going to focus on doing damage. So our Infiltrator does actually die of desperate escape over here. He tries to fall back and he can't, but this is how we're lined up. So we have our boat lined up to take some shots this way at the Oath target. Because as it is Oath, I'm going to just reroll all of my successful hits other than like one, and then I'm twinning, so I'm going to reroll all my successful wounds just to make sure that Lucas can't pull out of my full damage here. I've got line of sight on tons of guys, so like this is an absolute over-the-top contingency, but I'm trying to be extra careful here. Same is true for the bats here. I have one of them fire his 5 shots and reroll successful hits, so we don't do any damage, just to make sure that we can do our Fire and Fade 12 here. Wall this off. And then once the 2 of them have activated, so the Corpuscarii are at max power, they will fire with everything that they've got. The other thing that I try for here that sadly doesn't work, one of the reasons that I love this unit is that when you take the Manipulus, you'll be tempted to give him the cool flamer and be like, oh, +6 inch range. There's, he's also good at damage at 18. Very cool. Wrong. Take the Magnum Rail Lance. It's 36 up to 42 inch range because you can take a rando cross-court shot with it and key the Corpuscarii data sheet ability off of it. That data sheet ability is if this unit hits someone in the shooting phase, they can give that unit -2 move, advance, and charge, which is -6 movement when it comes to a unit of Ork boys, and particularly one that's a little bit further back than I think it wants to be right now, might really suddenly struggle to get all the way up to here. If it's only going, if it's going 6 less than it otherwise as might like it to be. So that's a kind of a cool thing that didn't actually happen. He missed, but could have been pretty saucy there. Speaking of missing, so does our Hunter Killer Missile. It doesn't do anything, but our Corpuscarii do not. They obliterate that squad. The full combo there is it's 30 shots on 3s because we're in Conqueror. Their base Blitzkill 3, rerolling all hits, lethal from the sus 2 crit 5s, and then wounding on 4s, rerolling. Lucas has 5-up saves. We just eat the whole unit for freaking breakfast.
Yep.
So nice job to them. Secondary wise, that turn I had Display of Might and Established Locust. Display of Might is trivial. Lucas has like 6 units in his army, and for Locust, my sniper boy walks into the center and hits the button. And that ends up being a massive mistake. As I've said before, this army is wildly CP hungry, and that 2 points is worth way less to me than a CP would right now, but we're going to make do with it anyway. Only thing that happened that turn, Lucas's Storm People ingressed over here. Lucas, I don't know if you want to mention about what the thought process was there, but other than that, we'll kick it back to you for bottom 2.
It's pretty simple stuff. I just really wanted to guarantee my area denial next turn. And
totally,
that's going to require dogpiling the middle with a bunch of Leadership 7 units and hoping that one of them passes their Battle Shock test, basically. Sure. Maximize the odds of that, go for an ingress. And yeah, like you say, that Homer is going to end up being a little bit of an error, one that I don't think either of us really saw until after the game. But at this point, you literally have your 1 CP, right? Like the turn has passed 4 times. You have reactive moved, heroic with the Infiltrators to set up the play, and crit 5'd. So you got to delete one of my 20s before anything happened, but it cost you functionally 3 CP, and you haven't gained any yet. Mm-hmm. So it's looking a little sketchy in that respect. But yeah, you have also run up a massive score lead on me at this point, right? Like you got a 12. You're going to get 6 terraforms. I cannot terraform any objectives this turn. So what we're looking at here is a pretty massive score lead for you. And I need to, I can let one more turn of terraforms go by, but on turn 3, I need to terraform 2 or hopefully 3 of these objectives, basically no matter what, or I'm going to be too much of a points toll to come back. So with that in mind, we just go for it here. We're going to call the WA, and we're going to try to use some of that Green Tide isn't quite as mobile as, Warhorde is, but when it comes to getting multiple units into combat at medium range, it is a little bit more reliable than Warhorde. You've got the native advanced rerolls built in for Bloodthirsty Belligerents. You've got a CP reroll that you can much more easily afford because your CP engine is so much better than Warhorde's. And then you also have 3 different ways to reroll your charge. There's just the native CP reroll. There's the reroll from Bloodthirsty Belligerents. And then there's also 1 CP plus 1 to charge and a native reroll, which, as much as I complained that the bonus to charge strat based on the battle round got changed, quote unquote nerfed to that, plus 1 to charge and a native reroll on a squad of 20 boys is really helpful. With Green Tide, you're going to find yourself going for a lot of 7s, 8s, 6s. Making that all plus 1 with a built-in reroll is a huge difference maker. So we're going to put all of that to good use this turn, and it's going to let us get into combat with all of our big boys bricks. We've got Ghaz squad running up here. Their job is very simple. Murder the Iron Striders, stand on the objective of those C-42, 44, and vibe. And that's what they're going to do by Gork. And we haven't really shot any guns. I should talk about what secondaries I drew this turn. Let's see. We draw just a defense stronghold. Obviously, having kept area denial from last turn, we're going to try to get it in the middle, as I've discussed. Ghaz squad going in. We've got 5 Mandos, 5 Stormboyz, and then this smaller squad of 10 boys is also going to come in from the backside and just kind of create a little bit of a block on that objective. Help me ensure that I hold it next turn, if at all possible. So that's going to be 3 units in the middle, getting me my area denial. And then up top here, Green Squad is going to have to face the Wrath of the Corpuscarii next turn. But they know their job. It's to flip the objective, remove your sticky, get rid of some trash up here. And I think we natively roll a 3 on our advance, which gives us a 7-inch charge with this Warboss and the Knob going into that Immolator. We use the +1 to make it a 6 with the native reroll, and we make it just barely. Thank goodness for the strat. And with a CP to reroll the wound here, that is going to be, or maybe I don't even reroll the wound. Either way, that volume of claw attacks is going to be enough to put the Immolator in its place. And then the boys have the volume to just scoop that's not a Vanguard unit, it's a Ranger unit. Those are the guys that scout. And the 5 Sky Stalkers as well. So we're down on points, but we've just made our big surge. And Blue Squad also lands their charge, thank goodness. I think they had like a 7 or something like that, going from the midpoint of this ruin into the Ballistari using the WTC engagement rules. And that's going to be nice.
7.
As you know, it's not going to result in them doing any damage. I was a little bit hopeful that with a large advance roll, I think they rolled a 2 on their advance and then needed a 7-inch charge. I was hopeful that they would roll well and then slingshot in to remove the Sky Stalkers. Sky Stalkers are essentially gargoyles, so the unit's going to be able to jail me. Has the potential to jail me very aggressively next turn. I was hoping to slingshot into them to just scoop them up, but unfortunately that's not going to be realistic here. We'll have to content ourselves with just moving a little bit further forward. Ooh, man. There is a lot of green meat on this table. Love it. We swing in with the Kommandos first, kill most of the infiltrators. In terms of battle shocks, the Kommandos failed and the boys failed, but the Stormboyz luckily passed, so we will be able to get our area denial here. And then the Stormboyz finish off the remaining infiltrators, allowing the 10-man boys to pile in and kill off the Skatros. I do pull a little bit of an interesting maneuver here. I think I'm going to do this activation last, so we'll talk about it when it comes up and we're actually moving the models. I think this is Ghazghkull doing a bit of a whiff on the Iron Striders, but luckily his boy squad actually hits really hard. In Green Tide, you can spend a CP to make them reroll the wound, which kind of pushes that +1 to wound pretty high up. You know, obviously Ork boys have a lot of volume, but famously not a lot of strength or AP. If your crit 5 is +1 to wound, reroll the wound, all of a sudden you're handing your opponent most of the attacks that you roll as successful wounds. And so that unit hits super duper hard, and obviously even harder in Warhorde. But yeah, just super fun to see it do its thing. And then here comes our 10-man squad going in with the lethals from Makari. They're going to finish off the Skatros and then pile in to tag the green boat. And obviously there's 10 Ruststalkers in that boat that started the game on foot, hopped in on turn 1. And they're going to be able to access units of Boyz if they want them, but I'm just trying to muck it up and kind of disincentivize you from using that unit very aggressively by just, putting a little idiot squad right in the way. And hopefully that can cause you some headaches next turn if you choose to disembark those Rusties. Battle Wagon also made a charge. He's picking up a couple Sky Stalkers. Not too much strategy going on here. Mostly just like commit hard, try to create problems, be all over the place, and then hope that either some mistakes or luck go my way to kind of create a bit of a differential here. We do also, another reason that it was very important to use the +1 reroll on Green Squad is to get them in to tag the boat. This is one thing you could do against units that are contingent on, their car shooting you first or a support unit shooting you first to do damage to you. Those Corpuscari, like I've talked about, really want that reroll to wound from the boat. If you tag their boat, it is not impossible, but more challenging for them to get that reroll to wound onto you. You have to make the boat a Haloscreed unit and then fall back and shoot with it, if I'm not mistaken, is a way to get around that. But it's just a little bit more troublesome when you get in there and maybe cost your opponent some resources, or they don't get their reroll to wound. Just introduce additional failure points or tax them some CP to do the plan that they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, this game looks very different all of a sudden. There's green everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for those keeping track at home, you don't need to be the Haloscreed unit to fall back and shoot. You just get to reroll your Desperate in the process, if so. But still, that is a CP that I, as discussed earlier, do not have.
Oh, interesting.
So we'll
wait. It's fallback, shoot, and charge. Is it fallback, shoot, and charge?
Yes, 1 CP. Fallback, shoot, and charge for any AdMech unit. And then if you're the Haloscreed, you can also reroll your Desperate.
Okay, that's goofy.
The stratagem, again, this detachment, I think Anthony puts it well when he said this detachment is written for a army that doesn't have good data sheets because it's cracked, and then it just happens to also now have good data sheets. So this army is very good all of a sudden.
Nice.
I still think Haloscreed might be better. More on that later. Or not Haloscreed, SHC, Hunter Cohort. So We'll see what we can do. So another mistake that became pretty obvious to me during the course of that turn was that I really should have flipped from Conqueror into Protector that turn. Yeah. I needed the Conqueror for literally nothing that I did that turn. Nobody ended up in combat. I basically just shot guys in front of me. And as discussed earlier, they only need 1 pip of AP or ignores cover to make these orcs go away, and they're battle shocked, so they're not surging. I definitely could have put my heavy bolter in here, or just let them have 4-up saves. Frankly, probably wouldn't have been the end of the world. I probably would have done plenty of damage without that. I had other things that could have pointed at them or whatnot. They're not blood surging. It's not that crazy. But anyway, as a result, I don't have my -1 to hit, which may have preserved some of my life over here, right? I think you did manage to kill out that full squad of Rangers, but just narrowly. And if just one of them survives, we don't get tagged over here, and life gets radically less complicated.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of complicated, I really would love to have these Iron Striders walk over here because they natively fall back and shoot and go eat this frickin' battle wagon. But that is not possible because of the way that they are positioned relative to my boat here. I can't fall back, and I don't want to fall back because if I fall back, I can go to shoot. Suddenly I'm getting blood surged into. Now, in hindsight, this is a mistake. I should just fall back. I have not played into these blood surgy units. It's nearly enough. One of the benefits of Corpuscarii is that they are pistols. So they're really great at getting blood surged into because they just don't really care. They'll still shoot you at full efficacy. But I was a little bit nervous and decided against that. So I didn't. But here we are. It was kind of a back and forth, right? Because I want to get the boat to shoot at them. Anyway. What we end up deciding is we say, okay, here's what we're going to do. This green unit is big and scary, but it's strung out. And I am not a melee player, but I know a thing or two about combat tricks. I've got 2 big units full of dudes here. We're going to have them go in and base block my way out and have the Corpuscarii focus on melee to deal with this unit. After maybe we shoot a little bit. We end up realizing that we can't because blood surge, but that's neither here nor there. And then the Corpuscaria themselves will hop out over here, take some shots downrange. For a minute, I was thinking about going after this blue squad here, because Lucas did console onto this objective to maybe sticky it next turn. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to pick up some little stuff here and then go charge these boys. Meanwhile, the infiltrators are going to do the actual Lord's work here. Now, the difference between Ghaz's squad and not Ghaz's squad in terms of durability is pretty massive, right? That 5-up Feel No Pain into my damage 1 really changes the math on stuff, and I don't think that I'm killing 30 Ork boys worth. And also, if I charge Ghaz's unit, Ghaz is obviously there, and he's going to be there at the end of the turn. He's going to beat my butt, unless I'm very precise in how I charge, which, looking at where the models are, I don't think there's a way that I'm not basing Ghaz here. So we're not doing that. We're going to try to get a little frisky here. We are going to run around Ghaz, try to hit the blue unit here, whom we will oath, hit them with the crit 5s, and try to wipe that unit all at once. Meanwhile, the Corpuscaria do some damage, pick up these guys, and by committee over here with the Corpse and Cawl and whatever, and the Sisters and the whatever else, pick up this unit. And then my Ataraxi over here are going to build a little bit of a wall to keep Lucas off my home field. If all of these things work out as I'm describing them, Lucas will start next turn with 10 boys who are probably locked in combat here. Maybe not. We'll get to that later. 5 storm people, sure. 20 boys in Ghaz who are like have a wall of meat to go deal with. Maybe they'll heroic and deal with some of this nonsense, but they're still not going anywhere super crazy in that world. And like that, and a battle wagon. And that's it. And I will still have my Corpuscaria unit ready to hose him. And the Corpuscaria are basically then just going to end up rushing to meet up with Ghaz on my home field and hose that unit. Like, this feels like a really solvable set of problems. And I am quite happy with my ability to stay somewhat level-headed under pressure here. We'll see how the execution works out, but that's the idea. Like, I think you would agree with me, Lucas, that if everything goes according to plan here, like, I think we will have successfully parried this incredible Ork barrage.
Yeah. You can definitely jail Ghaz's unit, right? The wall's over, like you said. In Green Tide, it's about mobility and offense. And without advanced in charge, that unit is now very slow. It can revive, but it's still pinned in by the Skystalkers and pinned in by the Infiltrators. So, yes, if things go to plan, I'm going to be quite stuck.
Yeah. So we'll see what we can do about this. We go for our Infiltrator charge up top here, and we roll like a 5, I think, which is like an inch or two shy of what I really wanted. We get an extra 1, or I think I rolled like a 1 or 2 on my advance and like a 5 on the charge. I needed like 8 or 9 inches across those 3 dice instead of 7. And I can get basically the whole unit in. But as is, we're only getting a handful. Well, we're getting 6 is what it ends up being infiltrators in, which makes me very nervous. And Ghaz's heroic ends up with him being a little bit further forward than I might have otherwise liked. But it is what it is. We're still going, and we're still going for it. And we'll see what we can do about that. Obviously, this heroic's going to hurt. But also, like, I'm going to make you take a battle shock, which if you fail, you won't have roll to wound access. And then I've got a 5-up invuln. I am toughness 4. I did seriously consider trying to make these guys T5 because, man, are they a lot better at T5. But like, it's not unheard of that a unit of Ruststalkers or infiltrators tanks a surprising amount of damage. And if Ghaz's unit can't kill them and they're stuck in combat right now, whoo, man, that would be a beautiful thing. So we'll see what happens there. Somewhat similarly, if Lucas ends up getting a little bit greedy and coming in here with his boys to go touch my Skystalkers, 5 or 6 boys are not killing 5 Skystalkers, most likely. That might also be a way that works. Cool. Up top now is where things are getting kind of spicy. I may in post zoom in here, or if not, you'll get over it. The goal of this of these charges is to mitigate Lucas's interrupt. And the way that we mitigate his interrupt is by forcing as few boys as mathematically possible to get to swing into the Corpuscarii. So we charge first with the Sisters and with the Servitors, such that we're leaving a whole bunch of these little gaps where currently all of the Orks that are relevant are based by something or other, but only like one Ork is in base with me, and he's not It doesn't have anyone else in base with him, and there's like one other within an inch somewhere, I think. So only 2 orcs at most will get to swing into me on an interrupt. I'm going to pop my 4-up invul to tank that a little bit better. I've got a 4-up invul, 4-up feel no pain. That's not the end of the world. I might lose 1 or 2's corpse. And then still, as many as possible are going to get to pile in to get to swing. So that's how we're going to try to mitigate Lucas Interrupt here. The trash units are going to take the damage. If you want more in-depth tutorials on how to do this kind of thing, we do offer coaching, which you can check out at statdeskcheck.com/coaching, link in the description. Maybe there's a QR code on the screen for you to scan. But that's what we're trying to do there. The infiltrators swing, we get 6 of them in, and they do kill the whole 20 boys with crit 5s. Oh, it's so cool. Sick. I love this freaking unit, dude. Just 6 dudes with 18 attacks, kill 20 models through a 5-up invul. Get the off my table, dude. Awesome. So that part of the plan goes pretty well. This all looks pretty good to me, and I am super happy with how this is all going. And then Lucas remembers how his army works. Ah!
Yeah. Well, turns out Green Tide has the coolest name strat in the codex, in the game, called Bulldozer Brutality, where if an enemy unit's engagement range of you, you can fight them if your models are within 3 inches. So all of this meticulous, well-crafted plan, just all of these lime green circles are now going to punch the Corpuscarii, and they're going to implode. That heroic. It was kind of a series of like the heroic needed to happen because I needed you to. I couldn't risk my blue squad failing their battle shock test and you starting into green because that lets you kill 40 boys for free. I needed to maximize the chances that one of those squads was going to threaten an interrupt to force you to start with the infiltrators. And with that in mind, green squad, I didn't remember that I had this strat until I was going to activate that. I'm like, oh wait, shit, I can just end your entire career. But a green squad could have at the very least interrupt to kill a bunch of those chaff units that are over there. And even if they were going to die, just kind of like reset the board state over there. But as it is, they slaughtered the Corpuscarii and are now going to vibe. Yeah.
So in terms of what like logistically happens there, Lucas is not like gotching me with this major stratagem. We both he hasn't played Green Tide in a minute. This stratagem almost never comes up. We realized it was there. We kind of looked around and we're like, well, we're like knee deep in this fight phase right now. I should have played my turn entirely different with this in mind. We're just going to use it, see the consequences, and try to scrap from there. Yeah. This is like, please inform your opponent of this stratagem if you are playing Green Tide and you see them trying to set up some really complicated combat shenaniganery. This is
gotcha, bitch, in this educational game that we're just playing for everyone's good.
Exactly. And if you are a Green Tide player, look for opportunities like that to use these things. Like I said, I'm really good at Warhammer. You should definitely sign up for my coaching services, as is evidenced by the fact that I have an incredible amount of egg in my face right now. But we are continuing on, and we're going to scrap as best as we can. Yeah, as Luke was saying, the other out for me is just that he fails both of his battle shock checks there with Ghaz's unit and the blue unit, but Ghaz's unit passes. Eek. So it's going to be what it is. We swing in with Cawl and with the sisters and with servitors, and we kill like an inconsequential number of boys. And suddenly this game is in big trouble, in particular because I at this point realized that I have made a horrific mistake, which is that knowing these interrupts are around, I didn't want these Ruststalkers to just go slam into Ghaz's squad. There's an argument that I totally should have. That would have been interesting. Yeah, right, because as at that point, only one of these 2 places can interrupt. And if he wants to lose his Painboy and Makari and some amount of boys out of Ghaz's squad in exchange for doing something up here, that's cool. He also maybe doesn't even kill my unit at that point. Like, that would have been fine. Or they could have jammed into the middle and just done a bunch of damage there, would have also been an acceptable option. But instead of either of those, I kept them in the box, which is a cowardly move and a mistaken move. At the very, very least, I need to get these guys out and have them ready at a stage to get involved next turn. I've got this beautiful box that I built for them. There's no way for Lucas to get through here. They would have been perfectly safe back here. But we don't have that set up. We don't. We're just vibing. And that is a full lost con because this boat is getting wrapped and those 10 Ruststalkers are never going to get to participate in the game. Oh, it's a tragedy, and it all spirals wildly out of control from here. As far as points are concerned, I do grab Engage and marked that turn. Engage was only 1 point. There was no way I was getting around that. That's fine. My marked for Death at the targets. Lucas picked some of those backfield units I wasn't getting to. No big deal. I picked this green squad here, thinking I have everything in the world pointed at it. It's surely dead. Oops, nope, never mind. And yeah, the wheels are gonna come off pretty hard here. In hindsight, this was probably too cute. Honestly, again, it's just the stratagem. Everything about this play, it works without that strat. But knowing that, what probably should have happened here is we just say, okay, we're going to focus on making sure this unit dies. We fall back with everyone. The Corpuscarii, I shoot it first with the servitors or something, and then if he wants to surge into the Corpuscarii, he's welcome to. And if not, that's fine. The Corpuscarii will then light him up either way. We'll charge. We'll see what happens. Maybe we shoot the Corpus first. Anyway,
yeah,
whatever the case,
you
shoot
death. Something into them. They surge. You kill a couple. They surge into the corpse. The corpse shoot. They kill most of the unit. You won't have crit 5s and oaths, so I probably will survive, but it will hurt.
100%.
And then Cawl charges and kills that. And at that point, I'm like very, very wounded. I hit the corpse pretty hard. The remaining corpse hit me back. Like it's more of a brawl as opposed to, I have 40 OC on your expansion. Type of thing.
Exactly. And I walk out with some number of Corpuscarii who then get to play Warhammer, as opposed to what's happening right now. But yeah, we play that game. This is all gone, and I have some Corpuscarii left. We're still playing Warhammer. But the game that we are currently playing is not. So I don't think that the expansion fight right now is particularly interesting. But can you talk us through exactly what's going on down here? Because this is kind of technical, and it is deeply insulting, as well as beautiful. So what are we doing over there?
Yeah, so we're going to use that Skystalker move block against you a little bit here. So the 5 Skystalkers were right there. And really what you want to do when wrapping transports is like melee Warhammer 101. It is one of the things that Warlord in particular needs to be very, very scared of is people wrapping your cars. And I'm going to use that against you here. What you're trying to look to do is to charge stuff that's not the car. Because if you charge the car, there's a very good chance you'll have to base it and be forced to fight it, and then it's going to die. And then the way that disembark rules work mean that you're almost always guaranteed a space in like 99% of cases where your car is wrapped, where you can get out the unit and still be able to act with them next turn. So by not charging the car, you can always guarantee that you won't be in engagement range of it, and that anyone who could get within engagement range of it could just choose not to pile in. And there's a little more to it than that, but that's like the core gist of it. So we're going to charge the Skystalkers with Ghaz's unit. We're going to charge the Rangers with Ghaz's unit. We're going to do a bunch of damage to both of them, and then we're going to kind of close the noose on the boat and just cinch it up. The boat's not going to be able to escape next turn. And so there's just going to be 10 Rust Stalkers chilling in there for another turn, which is really not what you want to see. Yep, that's the basic idea. And then in terms of secondaries here, we're just kind of blasting through the last couple turns of the game. It's going to be a lot of grinding on your expansion with Boyz. The Boyz are going to sticky a lot of these objectives here. And we're going to draw some cards. I think this turn we draw Recover and Overforce, if memory serves. Yep, that's right. So the last 2 units that are on your expansion, being the Battle Servitor or whatever, and the 5 Sisters of Battle that were inside the Immolator, are going to get killed by Green Squad to give me Overforce. And then Recover Assets is going to be, the Gretchen and the 5 Kommandos. And here's the point where it's really nice to have a lot of these little MSU units running around. You came in and gutted Blue Squad, but you did leave the Weirdboy and Warboss alive. That Weirdboy is going to be able to teleport late game to do stuff in your backfield. The Warboss is going to terraform in the middle objective and just exist there as a unit with grenades who hits pretty hard. So, just kind of nice to have some remnant units to do some stuff in the late game. And here's where those little squads of 5-man commandos that are, I took so many of them in my list, they're going to kind of come into their own here. We've got 1 squad on my expansion that's going to start terraforming there. In the last couple turns, they can sabotage, they can cleanse, they can they're recovering assets this turn. They were terraforming, but anyway, they're going to do a bunch of actions over there and just kind of babysit that corner of the board. And having 4x5 Mandos is just so nice for that. Just being the MSU that the elite Ork archetypes really, really needed.
Very nice.
Yep. And here I think we're going into your turn. Are we going into your turn 5 here?
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, it looks like you're moving as well. We'll just breeze through a couple of points here. Bottom four, I draw Storm and Secure. I am able to storm my home field by having that boat fall back onto it. And those three Rangers that survive the fight with those couple of Orks gets me enough OC on there after I kill like a Stormboy to storm my home field, which is cool. No primary. We're done with primary. Lucas is getting his 18s. Lucas grabs, what do you grab? Tempting, which you discard and then extend and marked. You discarded Tempting because it wasn't clear that you were going to be able to hold my expansion. You get 2 points on Baby Marked. Cool. And then turn 5, I grab Cull the Horde and Overwhelming Force right here. This is my last chance at scoring points in the game, and there is a pretty good way to do it, right? This green squad of boys that Cawl and the purple boat are in combat with, if I kill them, that's a Cull the Horde target, check, and it's an Overwhelming Force target, so good, 8 points worth of secondary here, right? From a team's perspective, I'm obviously not winning this game, but like the points differential is not absolutely horrific. Because I scored so well early on, those 8 points could go pretty far. So we'll throw our oath there. We will shoot them with our boat. We will shoot them with Cawl in combat because he's a doctor who is a monster. He's just a monster that can go through walls. So his big guns never tire, and his gun is no longer blast. Which is unfortunate sometimes, but other times it's really great. And then we're going to charge in with our chickens, and we're just going to keep on swinging. We do absolutely everything we can. We then charge in. We charge in with the chickens, who then tank shock and kill some guys, which then pulls the purple boat out of combat, who then gets to charge and tries to do some damage in combat as well, kills a guy, and then Cawl swings, and then Cawl swings again, and then Cawl swings again because he has 3 different melee profiles, and 2 boys walk away unscathed. Disaster.
We're too tough for you.
Fair enough, Chief. Sweet. And then bottom 5 looks like you're grabbing behind and assassinate.
Yep. I think I grabbed another card that was unscorable and recycled into assassinate. Not my finest turn of secondary, but either way, I'll grab a nice 4 on behind and continue grabbing up some Terraform points. At this point, I've maxed my primary. So yeah, interesting game overall.
Indeed. I do. Oh, I remember you do heal your boys back here. That's why those extras show up.
Oh, right, because you can just hold on to those
Overwatch.
cards. Yeah,
exactly.
Because you can Overwatch me and get Cawl overwhelming. Yeah, and I think the best play here is to invest a CP to revive, a CP to auto pass, and then just like fall back and clench basically.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the thing to do. And sure enough, 2 boys like, once again do walk free. So. Nice. Sweet. So final score there, 88-55. That's what, a 16-4?
That is a 16-4.
Yeah. So definitely a decisive victory to the Orks here, but certainly one that was not terribly outside of the AdMech grasp. I mean, you were feeling pretty bad on the front half of this game in here with the way the board state was looking. How are we feeling about Green Tide, man? This is a very cool army, that's for sure.
It's very cool. I think there are metas where it's really powerful, and I think there are metas where it can really struggle. And I think the tools that it has make it very, very powerful into kind of like the line-holdy, just lots of stuff armies. Because the lots of stuff armies, think Guard, think Tau, stuff like that. They pay a lot of points for like quality shots, Rogel Dorns, Riptides, and stuff that have to go through your permanent 5-up invul, and you can replace those casualties with revives. And then it doesn't really matter that your attacks are kind of lower quality. You kill all of their chaff and screens and transports and midboard stuff at Mach 10 because you're still Orks, right? The things we struggle with are like Deathwing Knights and Sanguinary Guard and Possessed and these big bricks that have melee defense and fight on death and stuff like that. That's what Green Tide struggles to deal with. Your opponent plopping 6 Bulgrin in front of you, you're like, Lamau, dude, reroll the wound, take 500 million saves at 1 damage, die. So those kind of profiles are not things that we struggle to deal with. It's really the elite melee power armor that we really struggle to deal with. And another thing that's tough for Green Tide is melee armies that have better melee tools than you. Specifically, I'm thinking about Fight on Death. I played this into World Leaders twice now, and it can be really, really tough to deal with an army that has -1 damage, has permanent Fight on Death, and just generally hits harder and moves faster than you. And so moving into this new meta where orcs are gaining popularity, world leaders are gaining popularity, specifically Warhorde in terms of orcs, and also some AdMech builds that are featuring very heavily a lot of melee units. Admittedly, those AdMech don't have fight on death, but they're much faster than you. All three of those archetypes can cross the board and get to you twice as fast as you can get to them. And taking the first hit when you don't have fight on death is really problematic. So overall, in this meta, I think Green Tide is in a decent spot. I think it's really powerful into some of the armies out there. I think you're just going to struggle to, go 5-0 with it at a GT, or even go 4-1, because if you hit two people playing world leaders, you're kind of relying on them to make positioning mistakes. But in the future, in other metas where, Guard, Tau, those kind of more stuff-based armies, Necrons as well as one that Green Tide just absolutely smothers. A lot of those armies that are a little bit less brawly, you can really just beat them on primary. And use the WA to clear all their mid-board stuff and then laugh as they have nothing but tanks and they try to kill your 5-up invulns. So yeah, I like this archetype as well. The cutting the Painboys, I like having one Painboy, one Weirdboy, so that, the Weirdboy can flex to the Ghaz squad if you're playing against Knights that have only multi-damage. Gives Ghazghkull a better way to move around the table and get into combat, because you could always go for 8-inch rolling charges at any point in the game with the Weirdboy. And then in most matchups, he'll certainly join to Ghazghkull's unit just to keep him going. And then, without the doctors, you're a little bit more vulnerable to some 1 damage, but there's not a lot of 1 damage anti-horde out there. Most people are gearing up to kill, big bricks of Crusaders, stacking AP, multi-damage to deal with that. Okay, I'm a 5-up invuln 1-wound Ork boy, I don't care. People are stacking multi-damage, high AP to kill Khorne Berserkers. Okay, I'm a 1-wound Ork boy, I don't care. So I'm really liking the 20 mans with just Warboss. I think the cheapness is a huge boon, honestly. Yeah, this game was a blast, and I love playing Green Tide.
Oh yeah, man.
How about you with the Haloscreed? This attachment, like you say, feels kind of cracked. Mm-hmm. And the attachments now, the data sheets now can back it up. I think it's very cool, and there's a lot to explore.
Yeah, there absolutely is. There's a ton of depth here. Unfortunately, it's starting to feel a little bit to me like one of those detachments that has a lot of really cool tricks, and the correct way to play it is to use almost none of them. Like, you are mostly just here trying to hit the go slightly faster button and be a better melee trading army than most other people are, and then have a couple of good, very long-range guns, which, like
have Oath of Moment, have crit 5s, have reactive move 6 on the unit that you sent in. Profit.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like it's just damage, right? Like you look at like that list that Vanilla and I put together for Dan. That thing does so much damage from far away and then jails you really hard. That's very cool. And that's also like not at all the things that get me especially excited about Warhammer, and also not necessarily the things that I'm especially good at. I realize in this game, like how different it is playing a primarily melee damage focused army. I was just having to think a lot harder about positioning than I'm used to with shooting armies that I play a lot more. I'm used to having plenty of damage, but I do plenty of damage in melee, but like having a 10-man 40mm base unit be your dedicated in melee where you really need everyone to swing makes everything radically more complicated than it felt like it should be.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky to, you're essentially playing Terminators, right? Like that is not a unit that is known for getting maximal efficiency out of damage. It just happens to be fast enough that it kind of works. So I'm excited to explore more of this, and also recognizing that maybe I should be playing in Hunter cohort to stick with some of the things that I like a little bit more about AdMech. Getting that reactive 5-up Feel No Pain back, getting the reactive 18-inch Loan Op back, getting the Uppy Downy back would all be really, really nice. But I can definitely see the appeal of some of the Haloscreed nonsense. The Corpus Scarii are so much fun. We never ever really got to see them quite have the beautiful turns of shooting and punching and then getting back in the boat. It can happen, and chasing that dragon makes me want to play this list a bunch more. But they are kind of dependent on the sisters, in my opinion, to do serious damage to armies that aren't orcs. So, and that sisters package is very expensive. So I'm not.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a a dream where, yeah, you can kind of tailor the modularity to the target you're shooting. You don't need every single buff. But if you need every single buff, it can be a little bit hard to be like, okay, first I need to battle shock you so you can't blood surge, and then I'm going to shoot you with an immolator, and then I'm going to shoot you with my boat, and then I'm going to shoot you with and then I'm going to be within 6 of battle line. It's like 4 levels of buff. And it's nice when it lines up, but there are going to be times when it doesn't line up.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Tell me about this Qatari Hunter cohort build. Is it just more of the same, but you cut some stuff for Cawl?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still all playing a lot of the similar pieces. I think you're probably playing. I'm more interested in the MSU Rustalkers than these 10-mans. Like that 5-man hit squad like really effectively goes and deals with a thing and gets out of a boat really well. You still get your Fire and Fade Vanguard brick back, which God, that unit is freaking fantastic for enabling all the nonsense. You're still playing tons of infiltrators because that data sheet is also, it was already the best data sheet in the book, and they gave it a pip of AP, which is like the one thing it didn't have. I don't understand why. So like you're playing maybe at least 20 in the 10-5-5, probably 25, maybe 30 infiltrators. They're so good. And then a lot more of your bats, right, to be doing things. And then you're like trying to get as much damage out of non-oath situations as possible. And the oath is just kind of like my nickel and dime thing, right? So I can still play sterilizers if I want. I can still play a disintegrators, which are just really effective anti-tank without oath. And the chickens can come in to really take things down. I mean, Siegler played a list kind of like that. I had challengers and it worked out really well for him. So I may go play around with that a little bit. There's just a lot of directions you can take things right now with the book. Rad Zone, also very much still alive. Still is the highest damage detachment, more than Haloscreed. It's not as fast, but it hits harder because you have more ways to get full rerolls to hit, and you have the lethal sus enhancement, or the sustained enhancement, to make your breachers kill absolutely anything in the game. So I'm intrigued. There's a ton of stuff going on in this faction right now, and it kills me that it's happening while I think Final Day is so much freaking fun. Oh my gosh. I had such a good time playing that at Challengers.
Dude, I am also in a similar spot where I'm like, there is so much cool shit to play right now.
Yeah, it's tricky. So we'll see. And I mean, it's all kind of like clock ticking on the back burner of like, there's only God knows how many more months of this edition. Like I've got to pick and choose things pretty carefully here in terms of what I want to put all my time and effort into. And with the amount of hobby that stands between me and taking AdMech to an event right now, I'm not 100% convinced that this is the wave I want to ride them on. So we'll see. A lot of options, a lot of cool stuff. Also a bunch of tyranny builds that I want to go play right now. There's a couple local GTs in the next couple months that I'm like, I want to win a GT with Warrior Bioform just to rub it in Sam Pope's
Warrior
face.
Bioform. Okay, interesting.
I love that detachment. It got really nerfed when the Psychophage lost his Feel No Pain, but I still think it's a really cool detachment that has some really nice pieces in it.
No love for the tunnel mids.
They're still good. It's a fun detachment. I like it. But like, it's also kind of what everyone's playing right now, and Bioform would be really cool. Bioform also has the some of the best Zoanthropes when it comes to hunting a Khorne Berserker brick, right? Because Mind Wound on 2s, which is saucy.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
They admittedly
don't have
reroll ones. They don't reroll ones to hit, and they don't have sustained. I don't think there's a way to give them sustained in that book. So like, it's considerably fewer hits. But
you're not winning on 3s, no rerolls. Exactly,
I'm winning on 2s, which is a lot better. So we'll see what the math is like on that. That being said, that unit is also kind of -1 damage is melee only. I keep forgetting that. So I don't know. It's interesting and sounds like fun to me. Warrior, the melee warrior brick is still an absolute baller in that detachment. Anyway, so we'll see what's going on. Thank you all so much for joining us. This has been a ton of fun. Look forward to some more stuff. We got Take All Comers. This is realistically, I don't think we're recording this the night before Take All Comers. I don't think this is getting published tomorrow. So check out the most recent episode of Take All Comers where we discuss our Challengers Cup run. We all had a ton of fun. I think the whole team is going to be on the show. It's going to be awesome. So check out that. Check out the main show. Check out our wonderful sponsors in the description. Like I said earlier, we're available if you want to get involved with some coaching, or if you just want to keep the conversation going, you can head over to our Patreon, sign up for our Discord, and take part in that as well. To chat with us. We're around all the time. But yeah, with that all being said and done, anything else out of you, Lucas, before we sign off for the week?
No, sir. Thanks for the game, and see you guys in the next one.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Guys is best.